Welcome to Living Large Television with Mark Henry, CEO of Alloy Wealth. For over 15 years, Alloy Wealth has focused on your financial needs and values when it comes to retirement planning and investment management. Mark and his team are committed to helping pre-retirees and retirees navigate complicated future planning decisions in order to meet and exceed your goals. This is Living Large Television.
Welcome to this week's edition of Living Large Television with Mark Henry. I'm Rebecca Powers. So happy to be with you again this week. Of course, Alloy Wealth Management has been doing this a very long time. You are making people have peace of mind. You do not have to stress and look at your statements all the time, worrying, right?
Well, yeah, I like to think we help with that. Let's put it that way. Life has enough stress in it as it comes. So letting people have a written retirement plan that helps them guide themselves through the choppy waters we find ourselves in many times, it certainly helps. We can't remove all the stress. That's not the plan, but we can certainly help.
But not having a plan, I think, should be
I can't even imagine.
And so many people don't.
Well, so many, I would say 90% or more.
Really?
Or they've been convinced by Wall Street, and I love Wall Street, so I'm not being negative when I say this, but they've been convinced by Wall Street that quarterly statement you get or that monthly statement, that's your plan. And
it's not.
No, it's not a plan. Of course not. So, one of the questions we get a lot is why do people fail in retirement? We hear a lot. Why did it not work out the way it should have? Procrastination has a lot to do with that. And I procrastinate about many things that I don't enjoy. I happen to love what I do. That's why I'm a square peg in a square hole. I'm that nerd that really gets up and loves to look at markets. I just think it's great. I just think the Wall Street machine is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm doing exactly what I need to do with my life. But for many people, it comes from the idea of, think about this, how difficult it is to do what we do as an independent fiduciary fee-based firm. So you work with a big box retailer, you've been with them for 15 years, your brother-in-law, whoever it is, whatever's going on, whoever manages your money, and you're happy, you think you're happy, the markets do what they do, and some weeks you're not, but you're okay. But you need more than that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what somebody actually needs as they get into that financial red zone. Maybe they're 15 years out from retirement, 10 years out, and or heaven forbid, they're in retirement, they're already in it.
But it's never too late.
Right, it's never too late. It's not. But you're certainly pushing that envelope. But let's think about what would be the parts of it. So you're going to need to talk to somebody about how you manage the net worth you have. Okay, well, that's fine. That's what the money manager does. But you're also going to need to talk to somebody about taxation on that money. You do not have a retirement plan if it does not include taxation. We're in a rising tax environment. It wouldn't matter if we were in a declining tax environment. You still need to know how to get the money out of all those deferred accounts. When I say deferred accounts, those big technical terms, what am I talking about? How much darn 401, the IRA? Right. Where you've saved money, you've never paid tax on it. How do you get it out of it? So many times people come in and they'll say, well, Mark, we hit our magic number. And I hate this idea of a number is what you need for retirement, because that's ridiculous.
Everyone's different.
Well, everybody's different, and I see people all the time. Like, I think about one of my favorite clients, and if she's watching, she would know I was talking about her, but she's just wonderful. I love her. Many firms would not have taken her as a client because they would have said she didn't have enough. They didn't meet the minimum that firm had.
Yeah.
We're one of the largest in Charlotte. We don't have a minimum that you have to have this much to come to see us. Obviously, you have to have money.
Right.
Because I can't help you if you don't have any money. Let me tell you, I know how retirement works for you.
You're not a miracle worker.
Right. I'm not a miracle worker. And if you don't have any money saved for retirement, it's not going to end well. So that's fine. But this person didn't have what most would have assumed. But, I just love her to death. She is truly the definition of living large. Never been married, always wanted to, said she was always going to get married, got close a couple times, and she said next thing she knows, she ended up 55 or something and grumpy, and I'm just not getting married, She's so funny. Now she's well in her late 60s. She loves to ride motorcycle. I remember during COVID, she literally took off and toured California, toured the entire West Coast on her motorcycle.
That's awesome.
And I know her budget. I'm like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
But like literally, she could take her Social Security check, which is like $1,700 a month, and she could not only travel, she could save money on that. I'm like, how do you? She goes, Mark, I just camp. You know, like I get a $10 a night camping slot. I do that 5 or 6 nights in a row. Then I get a Motel 6 because I want a warm bed, and then I'm back to camping again. And she's just living the lifestyle of her dreams on what most would have said wasn't enough money.
Right.
But she has a paid-for home. It's not extravagant. Her motorcycles are paid for. Her car's paid for. She has no debt. And she's literally just living large and doing life. Now, will it always be that way? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I know if health care doesn't come her way, long-term care or something, I think she'll take the money she's saved and accumulated, her nest egg, and she will do stuff in her lifetime that's going to be so much fun as her financial partner to watch.
I
think it's going to be great watching her do life because it's just a hoot. But then I've also seen those people that come in and they sit down and they're, you know, and I don't mean pompous, but you know what I'm talking about. They come in and they hand their statements over.
Yeah.
You know, I think of one in particular, and they were very successful. And, you know, you always hear the man makes more with it. Wasn't in this case, she made more. Not by a lot, but she was making more. And they were in their early 60s, and they wanted to retire like in the next year or two. And they came in, and they had a net worth of investable assets in these 401s of a little, just about $4 million.
Wow.
Like, wow, you know, that was great.
Yeah.
And we didn't take them as a client.
Why?
Why? You know, because in my opinion, they're not going to do well in retirement, and they just weren't a good fit. Now, I could have made money. I could have brought them in and made a bunch of money and done this and that and managed the money for some time, but I would have known the direction they were heading.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, think about this. They had a home that was not paid for over in South Park, unlike the other lady that had this beautiful little home that was paid for, a little small little home paid for. They had a beautiful home in South Park, not paid for. And in the market we were in, it was probably worth a couple $1 million. They owed a little less than that, but not much. Basically, they had no equity in it. But if the market changes like it's doing now,
right,
because the Charlotte market is changing some, not on every house, but those things are starting to come down a little bit, they might find themselves without having quite enough of the equity in that home or no equity. They had a place down at Myrtle's Inlet, and we have a new office down there, you know, in North Myrtle. I love that area.
Yes.
They had a beautiful $1.5 million place down at the beach. And of course, it wasn't paid for. So we had a lot of debt going there. We had a couple of leased cars, a couple of leased Mercedes and a car and this and that and expenditures. But they were living fine because they had income of over $600,000 a year. And they heavily invested in their 401. So they had saved this $4 million in their 401s. Between his and hers, it was about $4 million. But is it really $4 million? You say, well, it depends on the market. No, it doesn't depend on the market. They have $4 million. They've never done what? Paid tax on that money.
So it's going to be a massive hit when they do.
When they start withdrawing money to live on, it's certainly good. You know, $4 million is not really $4 million because they have a partner, Uncle Sam.
That's right. And then on inflation on top of that.
Outside of those accounts, though, they had not saved much because they'd saved everything in their 401. So they didn't have a big, massive amount of money in their savings account. They had a little savings account. They had a little money in the checking account. And they were looking to retire and keep the lifestyle that they've had for 20 plus years.
Right.
Which was they're spending about $300,000 a year after taxes.
Wow.
They make about $6 million, they pay taxes, fund 401s and all, and they spend about $300,000, about $25,000 a month. We're really good at what we do.
Right.
But I can't take a 60-year-old couple and plan for a 35-year retirement adjusted for inflation after taxation and get them $25,000, $26,000, $27,000 of tax-free income for the rest of their lives.
So you're a realist.
It's the truth. It's just, it's not a miracle. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Now,
they didn't want to hear
if they wanted to sell that home in South Park and maybe get one over in Matthews for $800,000-$900,000 and get rid of the beach and start renting when they go down there a few times a year,
right?
And maybe get rid of a couple of the leased Mercedes and get a Honda. I guess they're still selling Hondas or Toyotas, right? I could have showed them the retirement of most people's dreams. I'm talking about Europe vacations, and just travel and all the cool stuff, whatever it is they want to do. But their expectations for their money versus the other client I described, she came in with very modest expectations, and so she's actually living larger. She's living large, and they're coming in with expectations way up here, and unfortunately, if any hiccups come at all, Here's what's going to happen.
Right.
And so while every other firm maybe in Charlotte would have loved to have had them as a client, I don't need that in my life because we don't do transactions, we do relationships.
Yes.
And if I would have had to sit with them every time they came in a few times a year and had to see them, I would have seen where they were going. And I don't want to help them go there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It totally does. Do you think, is debt one of the things that you counsel people about, decreasing debt?
Everything.
Yeah.
Legacy plans, debt, Medicare, Social Security, it all goes into a plan. We're not a one-trick pony. We want to encompass all this because that's how you do life.
Right.
And we put it all into a written plan. We got to go to commercial break. They're telling me, I'm sorry I got a little tangent there. And I wasn't even doing my notes what I was going to talk about. But hey, let's get these phone lines open.
All right.
We've got an amazing opportunity for you. And if you've watched the show for any length of time, you know I do this from week to week. But this is for you today, not for the person last week or the person next week. This is the time for you to make a change in your retirement future. And you're going to do that by simply getting what you know you need, what you know you deserve. A written retirement plan done by a certified financial planner. And because you're like me, you're a cheapskate, you don't want to pay for it. Well, guess what? The phone lines are open. If you're one of the next 15 callers, we will do it absolutely free. Did you hear that word? Free. That's right. You'll come into one of our beautiful offices. You'll sit down with a licensed fiduciary. You'll meet 2 or 3 times. You'll take up their time with no intention of doing anything other than getting a written retirement plan done by a certified financial planner so you can get started on your very own confident financial future. Not what somebody else's plan, not some cookie cutter plan. Your plan designed around your dreams, your hopes, and your reality. Think of it this way. If your plan is not going to work out the way you want it to, when would you like to know that? Sooner or later? Obviously sooner so you can make changes and get it the way you want it. Well, now's the time to do it. And again, it's 100% complimentary if you'll just pick up a phone right now and call 888-272-0650. Rebecca?
And even after you get that plan in writing, there's still no obligation. That is the best part. And wouldn't you want a second opinion, especially if it is free? Give us a call, 888-272-0650. Do us a favor, have your calendar ready to get your appointment to meet with Alloy Wealth Management, and stay with us. More with Mark Henry right after this.
Do you hear that? That's me enjoying my retirement. Traveling around the world to play golf, where I want, when I want, with whomever I want. Because years ago, I rolled over my IRA with the help of a local trusted advisor.
You worked for it, you deserve it, and now's the time to implement your very own written financial plan.
Welcome back to Living Large TV. How can you retire or have a good retirement without a plan? So, Mark, a big part you mentioned, Social Security, Medicare, estate, legacy, everything you can imagine. You're not a one-trick pony. Let's talk about all the things in your office.
It takes a village to build that. It really does. It takes a team, and we have a great team. So let's talk about Social Security. Sometimes people, you can go and they'll do these seminars to teach you how to do Social Security planning and stuff, and really what they're trying to do is get you in so they can sell you something.
Right, to sign you up.
It's just telling you the truth.
Yeah.
So let me be very clear. Here's how Social Security works. It's really simple. If you have not saved anything for retirement, here's your Social Security plan. The day you stop working, turn on Social Security so you can have a paycheck. I mean, that's how it works. There is no Social Security planning for you. But if you're like me and you've saved hard for retirement and you've saved money, now I need a written plan, and my plan will be different than your plan most likely, and here's why. Like in my case, my wife, I married up, so again, it's pretty cool to do that. Only one person in the relationship gets to do that. I'm kind of a smart dude, so I chose to marry up in the relationship. That means it didn't work out as well for her. But she's younger. She's 10 years younger. And so we've been married, I can't believe it, this year will be 30 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, 30 years. It seems like it's yesterday.
It's
I mean, really, it's been like a honeymoon. We're going to get off the honeymoon soon. I mean, literally, it's going to end at some point. I know it will. But it hasn't ended yet, 30 years in. But for that time, she was taking care of me. and not working. Well, I mean, taking care of the kids. What was I saying?
Right. Well, you're one of her kids.
Your women know the truth. You were taking care. She took care of me first, then the kids, because I think I was the more needy of the bunch.
And you work a whole lot.
But
let's be honest.
she wasn't contributing to the system.
Right.
So just logically, she's paid in way less. So her Social Security will be less. Well, think about Social Security planning. What you're trying to do is get the most back from all that money you put in. I mean, reality is, if they would give us this deal, if they just said, hey, Mark, you know what? Forget Social Security. We'll just give you what you put in back. No interest or nothing. Would
I'll
you
take
that?
it. Absolutely.
Done. Sign me up right now, right? Now, that's not going to happen. But I do want to formulate a plan to get the most back.
Right.
So for me personally, our plan is most likely, unless something changes, going to be me delaying Social Security on my Social Security till I get to that magical age of 70.
Okay.
I'll wait because that's going to give me more. Well, it really won't give me more because most likely I'll pass away and I didn't get more back as if I would have turned it on earlier. However, it's a higher amount. So then when I die, she gives up her smaller amount
and she
gets to take mine. If she goes on to live as long as she should live, the Henry household is now getting the most back from all that money I put into the system.
And her lifestyle doesn't change.
Well, it doesn't change because of that. Now, obviously, it changes.
You have other pieces.
Yeah, other pieces of the puzzle. It doesn't change from that standpoint, but actually it does, because think about this. This is what nobody talks about, Rebecca, and I'm really glad you said that, because think about this. We file taxes how?
Joint.
Married, filing jointly. So as soon as someone passes away in that relationship, you now file taxes how?
Single.
That's the highest tax brackets we have. So watch what happens. Immediately upon someone's passing, even though she would take, in that example I gave, she would take my Social Security and keep getting it, what do we give up? Hers. So there's already automatically a deduction of income coming into the Henry household.
Gotcha.
Poof, gone, right?
Right.
Okay, and we just went to a higher tax bracket. That happens right there. And nobody plans for this kind of stuff. The big box retail firms don't ever even talk about this.
You're the first person I've ever heard even mention that.
We have to talk about this stuff. We have to plan for what's going to happen. What is life going to look like? People say, well, it'll be cheaper to live. Are you kidding me?
What planet are they on?
Yeah, it's going to be more expensive to live when somebody passes. They said, what do you mean? The only thing that's going to go down is health care. The health care costs go down because there's one less person in the house. Eating out, you're going to eat out more, not less.
Right, because you're not going to be cooking for one. That's right.
Right? The household expenses stay the same. In fact, they might go up because there's going to be more that you don't want to do. So you may want to hire somebody to come do some of the stuff that I do around the house.
A yard guy.
I don't do that. No, let's be clear. But there is some things I do around the house, right? And we may have to hire someone to do some of that kind of stuff.
That's a good point.
So we have to plan. When we do these written retirement plans, we're planning for the stuff. We're trying to look. Listen, the Bible's very clear. I can't build your walls high enough to protect you from everything. You can't do it. People have tried. You can't do it.
Yeah.
But we can look at past experiences. Been doing this a very long time. I've seen what others have been through that I can share with you like that and bring up something you may not have thought about in your current plan.
Right.
And say, what would happen if this? Oh, I never thought about that. Well, let's put that in plan and let's put it in writing so we have an idea of how things would happen if this happened. Look, we're planning for success, not failure.
Right.
But we got to bring up the potential things that might happen so we're ready to address them if they do. In this financial journey, it starts, Rebecca, with a phone call.
Yes.
We're going to open the phone lines now. We've got the capacity, whether it's Myrtle Beach, Greenville, South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, or the surrounding areas. We could always do a Zoom. And listen, I'll tell you up front, I'm not the Zoom guy. I don't like that. I want to meet with you. I want to look you in the eye. But when you call, when you pick up the phone, here's what happens. Operators are standing by. They're simply going to book an appointment. It's not a toll-free helpline. There's nothing for sale. You're simply going to say, okay, I want to take a chance. I want that second opinion. I want to come in and I want a licensed fiduciary, and I want a certified financial planner to actually build the plan. And also, I don't want to pay you. So I want to take your time. I want to meet with you 2 or 3 times. And when we get done, I want you to give it all to me in writing, exactly the way I want it, and I don't want to pay you. If that's what you're looking for, now's the time to get it. Pick up the phone and call 888-272-0650. It's exactly what we say it is. A written plan done by a certified financial planner, not some cookie cutter plan, your plan around your hopes, your dreams, your goals, because it's your money. You deserve it. You need it. It's time to receive it. 888-272-0650. Rebecca?
Absolutely. If you do not have a plan, this really is the perfect time, as Mark said. There's no obligation even after you get your written plan. And if you think that you are both a wonderful fit, then you can move forward. There's the number again, 888-272-0650. Stay with us.
You deserve a secure, independent retirement. A retirement that is prepared to handle pitfalls like inflation, health emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. You've worked hard for your money and will work just as hard to help you protect and grow it.
Your financial journey starts with that first phone call. Call now.
Welcome back to Living Large TV. We're talking about how you can keep every penny, well, not every penny, but most of the money. You say that you can never go zero risk. If you're in the stock market, do you want to talk about annuities, something that's tied to the stock market but is less risk when the market goes down? Do you like annuities, and why?
Well, so when you say that word annuities, it brings up such emotion and reaction about people. So let me be very clear. There are many that I like and many I don't like. One of the biggest problems I have is when people label things. I hate labels. I don't want to fall in a box, and you shouldn't. So when it comes to that word annuities, we could do a whole show or 10 shows on this subject, but what kind are we talking about? People say, well, I hate annuities. I love these commercials, these people that have a hidden agenda by telling you why they hate annuities.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you're a retired teacher and you get that check in the mail, that pension you receive every month, and you go, yeah, I get that. Well, you hate annuities, right? Oh, I hate them. I would never have one. How do you think you're being paid?
That's a pension, right?
That's the pension. That's an annuity. How do you think every firefighter in America, when they retire, or a police officer, when they retire with a pension, how do you think it's being paid to them? From an annuity.
It's an annuity. A lot of people don't realize that.
And they love those.
Sure.
Well, I like those kind of annuities.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait a second. When these people tell you they hate annuities, what are they saying? They hate people getting a pension?
Right.
They all have an agenda that say these kind of things. And I want to remove the stigmas and stuff. So there are annuities that I don't like.
Variable.
Well, I've never used one. We've never used one at Alloy Wealth because by and large, and again, this is a label, so I don't want to be like that.
Right.
Maybe not yours, but by and large, they have the highest fees in the industry. You can lose your money. Variable annuities, the devil's in the details. Variable, what does variable mean?
Changes.
It goes up and it goes down.
Okay.
People say, no, not my variable, not my yes, you're a variable. No, if I die, my wife gets all the money. Hold on a second. That means you took your hard-earned IRA dollars and you bought life insurance. You said, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. One of the biggest fees in a variable annuity is the M&E charge. People say, M&E, what is that? Management expenses? No, it's the mortality and expense charge. Because they sell life insurance inside the variable annuity. Think about it this way. You put your money in that annuity, let's say $100,000.
Okay.
And what did you want it to do? Make money. I want it to go up. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But it may not because it's variable. So you put it in. If the market's caused it to go down, so your $100,000 went down to $80,000. Well, that's bad.
Right.
But if you die, hold on a second. I know where I'm going when I die, Rebecca. I don't want to go today. I'm kind of having a good time right now. I don't want to go today. So now the second bad thing's happened. I've lost money and I died. Well, great news. That insurance policy that you bought inside your variable annuity, that M&E fee, it would take that $80,000 and return it to your beneficiary, the 100. So you paid money, a fee, so that $100,000 every month was being charged, the M&E charge, to have an insurance policy. So if you lost money, bad thing number one, died, bad thing number two, well, then it had to give back the money that you had put in to your beneficiary.
Okay.
Okay, I get that. Now think about this. So two really bad things have to happen. Well, let me tell you how that insurance becomes really valuable. If your $100,000 drops all the way down to $15,000 or $10,000, now if you die, at least that insurance policy you've been buying has to pay a heck of a lot more to get you back to 100. What if you used a different type of annuity? Instead of a variable, you used one that had the F word in it, fixed.
Fixed.
Well, it doesn't have the M&E charge. Why? Now, it doesn't mean it doesn't have fees, because some of them do have fees.
Sure.
I don't like all those either, but there are some with no fees. But in that same example, you put your $100,000 in, it was fixed. It could never have a principal loss.
So zero is your hero.
So guess what? It doesn't need an insurance policy inside of it to restore your principal if the market caused a loss, because there is no loss.
Gotcha.
Think about that.
Does it still earn when the market goes up?
Depends on what type you picked, right?
Okay.
So you could have a fixed one that just paid a flat 4% right now. There's some of those out there, 3-year fixed.
Better than a bank, but not
Better
much.
than a bank, so you could just stick your $100,000 in it. It pays you 3 years interest every year, 4% interest in that example.
Right.
And you got that. So it doesn't need any kind of an insurance policy, and it would have no fees. There are some that are tied to Wall Street by the form of an index, like the S&P 500. There's one that exists right now that I saw recently that gives you 75% of the S&P 500. It's a little-known index. You may have heard of it. S&P 500.
So it's tied to the market, but not in.
Not in the market. So watch this. It's real simple. It's a short-term product. You just put your $100,000 in. S&P goes up. So if the S&P goes up 10%, what do you get? 75% of that. What would that be? Simple math, 7.5%. So your $100,000 wouldn't have earned 10%, it would have earned 7.5.
But with so much less risk, a lot of people like that.
Well, not less risk, that would have no, because the $100,000 goes in, and if the S&P went down, you still have your principal insured from an A-rated carrier. This is one that just came out. So you're giving up 25% of the upside of the S&P for none of the downside. And guess what the fees are on that one?
Nothing.
That'd be zero. That one has zero fees.
So explain, if someone says that sounds too good to be true, explain how insurance companies actually do better when interest rates go up.
They get to hold your money for a period of time.
And they're investing it.
So they're investing it. They
and
get
they have
to make
billions.
money. Sure. So it's not a bad thing. But again, does that mean it's the right thing for someone? I have no idea.
Until you meet them.
Here's what I would tell you. Run from anyone trying to sell something. Build a retirement plan and see if those pieces fit in the retirement plan before you ever invest your hard-earned money in anything.
So these are all tools.
They're all tools. That's all they are. Some are good, some are bad.
Yeah.
And some are good for you and not good for me.
Yeah.
Hey, they're telling us we got to go. I cannot believe this show has flown by.
I can't believe it.
We've got just a few seconds left, but don't miss this opportunity. 888-272-0650. That's the number to call to get a written plan done by a certified financial planner and get it absolutely free. If you're a stingy little tightwad like me, now's the time to pick up the phone and call 888-272-0650. I mean that affectionately, but you've worked hard for your money. Don't go pay for something you can get absolutely complimentary with no obligations. Leave your checkbook at home, get your appointment book out, and pick up the phone and take a chance. Get that second opinion in writing from a licensed fiduciary and done by a certified financial planner. 888-272-0650. Hey, we hope you found the information today useful and helpful, because that's how we intend it every week. Please check us out on YouTube at Living Large Retirement. And stay tuned. We'll see you again next week on Living Large Retirement.
See you next time.